Welcome to episode 4. We've got our lovely Anna and Annie from Truffles and Ruffles. Thank you so much for coming here today. Hello, girls.
Oh, hello, Zara, and hello, Melinda. Thank you so much for having us.
Are we excited?
Mm-hmm. Very excited.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about. I think it's so great to finally have somebody that does something for the creatives in Fulham that we all now know of. What a wonderful community spirit again.
Yes, it's going to be really interesting having a chat with you, so thank you for coming.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, let's start with the beginning. So should we tell our lovely listeners and watchers and everyone, who are you? And how comes that an Anna and an Annie got together to create a truffle and a ruffle?
Well, so we're interior designers. I studied architecture at university, then actually went on to work in events for many years, having got frustrated that nothing was ever built and loved then having a brief. And so did events, travelled the world, worked for a fabulous company. Then came back and set up a company called Scarlet Willow, which was predominantly bespoke tableware. And then sold it after I had my second child, just the dynamics and everything. And it was the right time. And I was probably a little bit before my time thinking about tablescaping then. So it was sort of in my blood to bring people back around the table. And the idea of Scarlet Willow was always to bring people around the table, which is what the premise of Truffles and Ruffles is, networking and bringing like-minded creatives around our kitchen table.
Well, we're going to get more into that.
We
are going to try and express our feelings, emotions, and what Truffles and Ruffles is all about. And you, Annie, my love. Oh, hello.
Thanks so much for having me. Right, this is the first time for me. So my background, I went to art college, and from that I went into the world of graphics and design. And I ran my own publishing business for 20 years, and I was designing wrapping paper and greeting cards. I was also doing a lot of branding work for various clients. And I got to the point of an age where I was in my studio and I either had the opportunity to continue with this or make a change. And that was when I met up with my gorgeous friend Anna. Well,
how did you guys meet?
Yes.
So what was the first ever time?
Yeah, well, do you
You know, you tell the story. I love her.
story. And
I think we both tell it the same.
It's an amazing story, and it's true. You both tell it the same.
Yeah, well, because it's kind of magical, and that sounds
It
maybe
is.
a little bit soppy, but okay, so long story short, I'm going to condense it. So my parents decided to move up from England to Scotland, and my father was dear friends with Anna's father, and Anna lives in Scotland in Glen Eagles. And we did the move. I was nearly 16, and Anna similar age. And at that point, me moving up to Scotland with the Highland cattle, having all my friends down in England, was not a very good move. Derek, can you imagine? So I got my
But were you a nicer teenager than I was?
I mean, come on. And
Made it up for it.
And so we went to Scotland, and my father said, right, you are going to meet this lovely girl who's a great daughter of a friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine. And you're going to behave and be very nice. You can imagine.
We were proper stroppy teenagers.
Yeah, like, who is
I've
this
got my
girl?
friends.
Yeah.
Don't want to make any new friends. Why do I have to be nice to her?
I remember the drive on the way up to you, and my head was literally leaning on the side of the window, going, "Oh, for goodness' sake, am I really going to have to sort of behave?" And anyway, I think you were told exactly the same thing.
Yeah, and we don't know where our siblings were.
No.
It was just us,
Yeah.
and it was,
Yeah.
planned. And I was like, I've got friends. I don't need new friends. I mean, I was not an easy teenager, so I put my hands up. So, but
I think we both were. Probably why we got on so well.
maybe.
But really, that was probably one of the best things I think I can
Yeah,
say for me, that
definitely.
the introduction. And from that point, I mean, what haven't we done together is really
Yeah.
the question. From travelling, and I've lived in your flat with you in Edinburgh, and I'm godmother to your gorgeous daughter.
Yeah, no, we've done lots together. It's been really nice, and we've held a few parties together.
No, let's talk about the parties, guys.
No, that's, yes, we have. They've been good parties.
Thank goodness Facebook was not around in those days.
This is why I always say, like our parents got so, I'm the youngest at the table, so I can say this. Doesn't mean that you're the, it doesn't mean the other, yeah. Oh, here we are. You said it, not me. But I wish I would have seen how you guys party.
It was a party that grew from a small intimate number to really quite a large amount of guests,
Yeah.
isn't it? So yeah.
Like that movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean.
That means you're great
we
fun.
had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun, and it's been fun as well because my nickname at school was Annie, so it's quite confusing.
Oh,
So when we
gosh,
lived
yeah.
together, my father hates the nickname Annie. So when we lived in the flat in Edinburgh together, my father goes, "There's no one called Annie who lives here." And I was like, because it was before mobile phones, they had to ring the landline. So we've had lots of fun together. We really have. And it's lovely now to be able to work together.
So you guys had a lot of fun in university and everywhere else. But how come that you got to work together? So where did it all start? When did you rekindle?
Well,
Or was it always there, the
I think
friendship?
I think the friendship's always been there. We've done different things in our life, which I think is really important. And we've always been a support from each other because we don't have the same friendship group, which is really nice. So you can then reach out to each other when you need that sort of.
When she's had enough of me, she'd go, right, actually,
I have other friends.
hello,
I've got all the friends. I didn't meet you at 16.
just go away.
And I don't-
but you
But
don't.
we've
I'm
had a
laughing,
lot
but-
of conversations
Yeah.
over the years, and we've helped out in our previous businesses
Yeah.
with each other.
Yes.
And then I was looking, because it is solitary working on your own, and had set up my interiors business and was looking for support, and really it's lovely to have a sounding board with someone when you work together. You have that opportunity to sort of go, am I doing the right thing? Do I chase them again or do I not? Or, do you think this sounds okay? I think it's really important. So then we came together and had a lot of fun doing projects together.
I mean, you are exceptional at the interiors world, and so for me, coming from the design graphics background was a big step for me, and I have learnt a huge amount, but from an expert, and with your architectural background as well. And I think the combination which we find work is we both have different skill sets, which really works well.
How
for
wonderful
us.
is that? And you can actually tell in your relationship as as entrepreneurs and as friends that you do complement each other. I think that you've got the eye and she's got the detail.
Yeah.
It's
She's got
as
detail.
easy as that. She's
Yeah.
one of those.
Yeah. Well, if you look at her kitchen drawer and my kitchen drawer, you go detail, and that's a little bit.
Melinda, you're gonna know what I'm doing next time I'm in your house.
Don't look at my kitchen drawers.
Oh, are we friends? Is that not what friends do?
Yeah, that's the acid test, right?
But that's great that you've got the teamwork and bringing different skills to the party, which is always that's always great. It's a perfect combination, isn't it?
Because I bet, I think that's the beauty of having that time together, and also it just there are times where we're working on certain projects and we will spot something that the other might not have, and it's just been absolutely the point we've gone, yes, that's it, or we learned to sort of step back actually as well. So I feel very fortunate to be sort of in the situation where we can also be completely honest with what we're doing. There's no I can be quite transparent and very blunt, which Anna knows, but we just get to the point quite quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think we recognise each other's strengths and weaknesses, and don't, Annie's very good in saying, well, that's not my forte, that. And I go, and that's good, and that really helps. And I think that's why it keeps it fun and fresh, and
we do have fun, lots of fun. I think that's
we definitely
You do have lots of fun. So I want to know why Truffles and Ruffles, and more than that, I want to know, were there other names? Where did the idea? Should we just spill the beans? Tell them. How did we end up? Because people will wonder. That's a very interesting name. But why?
So, but first, I think first of all, the whole concept came about that we definitely think it's important to bring people around the table. With the four of us sitting like this, it's really easy to talk. You feel very comfortable, you feel in a safe space, and I think one's kitchen table is exactly that. And I certainly grew up, and I believe Annie did, with lunch parties, dinner parties, it's part of our culture. So we felt that it was important to network around our kitchen table, but then it came to what we should call it, or the community, because we were a club initially, but we've dropped that recently. So Annie, I'll let you.
Well, we wanted to incorporate interiors and something with a flavour and essence of food.
Yeah.
And in fact, there were some pretty off the wall names. What were the other names as well?
We had
So-
cheese and chintz.
That's a no.
We then thought everyone think they're just coming for some cheese.
Yes.
And so, I mean, when we, as Zara knows, we spent a bit of time changing our handles from the design handle to
I
Truffles.
want to know, is it just the designers that are welcome to your wonderful...
Absolutely not.
lunch?
Sorry, I totally interrupted you because I think
No, please,
that's
yeah.
where we feel possibly that's how we have initially come across, and we want to dispel that sort of myth or that sort of trend because it's very much it's
So
creators.
you're not ladies at lunch.
Hello.
Well, you are. This is not what Truffles and Ruffles is all about.
Ladies at lunch.
Yes.
No. We need to just completely squash
I
that.
think this
Yeah.
is such a great opportunity
Yeah.
because every time you've got wonderful photographers working with you, both from Fulham,
Yes.
going back to how amazing our community is and what amazing creatives have we got,
Yes.
don't we? So I think, we are focusing on Fulham and this is our audience at the end of the day, obviously Fulham and above. But I want you to talk us through who is your
Target audience.
targeted audience. Who is what are you looking for when you are looking at your table and people that surround it?
First of all, a huge variety. We have kept it within the creative sphere, but not exclusively to designers. We've had marketeers from the social side to PR, journalists, garden designers, jewelry designers, fashion design.
Property
Pharmacists, fabric houses.
Yeah.
You're right. Property developers.
we've had a
I'm just
huge
looking because
antiques.
we did our homework. We looked at your handle
Yeah,
girls.
no, thank you.
Antique dealers. So
Well, also it's good to tell
Yeah.
the Fulham
Yeah.
people who
Yeah.
are
So we
listening.
want-
who
but,
might
People who are interested in foods. We'd have, it just. We'd love anyone really from any field that has that sort of area of creativity, and
entrepreneurial, and maybe-
it doesn't have to. You don't have to be a painter to come along. You don't have to be a designer, but you can be. I think you can be creative in like floristry. You can be creative in now.
But
I'm sort of
in
on
the lovely
spot, but
skinwear, we had the lovely
Completely.
active drip. I
Yes.
think there's lots of.
photographers, as you say.
But the idea is to give people an opportunity to step away from their computers, to take an extended lunch break. We serve a 3-course lunch. We dress the table, as you know. We take probably too much time doing that. Curate the guests, so we think very carefully about who we think will be good for who. So if we have a shop,
I think this is phenomenal. Sorry for interrupting. The fact that it's a lot of work, right? So I think people's misconcept about everything that you guys are doing is that you're just selling out. Use 10 spaces over there. No. Talk us through how you actually curate the guest list and you make sure that they are not two of the same. I don't know, you tell us.
I see it as and this might be a bit literal, but here I go. But I almost see that we've got this humongous cabinet with lots and lots of drawers. And within these drawers are all the different areas. And in fact, these drawers are multiplying because then we have, as we said, people from the different fields that come to us. And so, it will start, the list will start, and invariably it will start with the person that we're collaborating with the event. And when we collaborate, that can be someone that's down to the table linens, it can be down to the crockery, it can be down to the tableware.
down to the drink,
exactly.
the food, the flowers, really.
That's the starting
yes,
point. And then as far as the guests, we absolutely... I think it's important too. We love to have interior designers because we feel they can often be linchpin to joining and merging the guests together. But as we've just said about the extensive list, it can be this lovely mix. So we wouldn't want to have too many people from the same field because that would be, conflicting. So we make a point, if there was 2 upholsterers, we'd say, we'd love to have you, but actually there's the next event
That's
or the next
so
one.
good to know because, that's
it's not
caring.
competition.
Yeah, exactly. And that is, being honest with your guests and your table. And isn't that all about being the hostess with the mosters?
Thank you. Thank
Well,
you.
I think, and that's the thing, because it's when we've the guest list is one thing, and then we plan who sits next door to each other.
Yep.
And, we're human. Sometimes we look at it and go, help, we need someone else in that mix. It's not,
It's not quite right.
not quite
Yeah.
right. We
Yeah.
really mind. And then, of course, we have people who drop out on the day, and that can then be the one person that we just thought was perfect with someone else. And you have that sort of, that sinking feeling, because you feel you're letting your guests down because of all the work we've done to make sure that there is a connection for everyone.
It's a lot of work, guys.
Yeah.
There.
There is a lot of planning, and I think, as Anna said, it's really important to us. We really do care about each event, and the guest lists do kind of change. Sometimes you've got more one sort of way, and it's that excitement, isn't it? Of
Have
genuine...
you got mails?
Absolutely.
Is it
Absolutely.
Open, yeah, is it open to everyone?
Completely.
It's not just for the ladies.
Yeah,
No,
it's
not
not
just
for the
for
ladies.
just for the ladies.
But
for
you know what?
ladies.
Everything looks so wonderfully. It's a beautiful tablescape, and you can see the hard work there.
That's down
and at
to
the
Anna.
Yeah, but at the same time, you can see the hard work at the backstage with all the
Yeah.
videos and everything
Yeah.
you're doing. On the other side of
Yes.
the curtain.
It can get a little bit stressful sometimes because
Yeah.
you've sent the invites, people have said they want to come, and I understand everyone's busy, right? So
Yeah.
I get it, and sometimes it might take a few days, and then but when it goes on further, it's a little bit like, well, please can you let me know, because that'd be really helpful, because then, as we've just said, we choreograph the whole event, and it just really helps.
I think it's amazing that you spoke about it, because some people might think, oh, what's the reason why they are so pushy about it, that they need to know so
Yeah.
much longer in advance.
Yeah.
Where that's why.
Yes.
And
It
I
is.
think now it makes sense,
Yeah.
the
Yes.
fact that you've put it out there.
Well, because
Thank
then
you.
the guests then reap the rewards of
Completely.
the benefits of the conversation
Yeah.
with who they're sat next to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I want to break that once and for all with ladies who lunch and ladies who have time to do nothing
You're
but go
saying
and
that
enjoy.
too many times, Sarah.
Because-
Ladies flipping lunch.
Because I want your
Yeah.
Fulham audience to
Yeah.
know
Thank
that
you.
these beautiful lunches in Fulham are open to everyone.
Yes.
For every creative business owner, whatever not out there, somebody that feels lonely in his job,
Yes.
and somebody that wants to just be out there chatting
Yeah.
to somebody
and connect.
and
Yeah.
connect.
Yes.
And also talking about connections.
Yeah. I mean, it's huge.
What connections can you mention from these lunches? Something that people can
we've
look
had
at and say,
we've-
wow.
We definitely know there's been amazing connection made with one antiques dealer who then did this reel completely unknown to us, and suddenly she said, I met at the lunch and she'd met a furniture designer, and now they're doing a whole collection together of a particular
wow, that's
table.
amazing.
And those sort of things, that's what we want. And also we know that one of our lovely interior designers, she asked us whether we could in fact help her. She had too much work on, could we help? And we said, no, we can't, we are too busy, but how about get in touch with X, Y and Z? And we want to become that little black book, so
Yes.
become synonymous with being able to connect people. So
So it's building a community.
it's a real... Yes,
Yeah.
and that's
It is a community after all, isn't it? Yeah.
and it's just remembering, and so it's lovely when we see people who've then gone on to do workshops, or someone with Reels Rockstar, and you think, oh, well, they were met at our lunch, or they Haynes Collection sort of got in touch with Fermoy, having sat
yes.
next to. So we do, once we know someone's committed to the lunch.
How does that make you feel
it's
about
so
Truffles
good.
and Ruffles?
It's that really cathartic, it's stressful leading up to it, for exactly what we said about the guests, and sort of recognising people can be sick, people drop out. We understand that, we're all the same. But we then, that sort of sinking feeling of like, oh, we've got to, we're not desperate to fill the space, but we don't want an empty seat. It feels all the effort that everyone's gone into, our guests, ourselves, our lovely chef, our photographer, they've all, everyone's come
Let's
to...
talk more
Yeah.
about that, because they're all Fulham-based, guys.
Yeah.
Our will be full of amazing people.
So our two photographers.
We've got
Lou D'Souza, who is she's been with us since the beginning, hasn't
pretty
she?
much. You rang her out of the blue.
Well, that's how I
Yeah.
found
Yeah.
out about you guys, and then I dragged Melinda to one of your beautiful
Did
lunches.
she drag you?
Well, to be honest, if it was one of those things she didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And as I know Melinda, she doesn't like a waste of her time. And I'm not saying that was, but
Yes.
how I presented it to her,
Yes.
right, I was like so excited, and he's this and he's that, but the only thing that she could see is what she could see.
Okay.
So, plus at that time and point, I knew nothing about you either.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think, now you coming here today and explaining to our lovely audience what is it all about?
Yes.
It's more than that beautiful photograph that we all
Yes.
see on social media
Yeah.
and
No,
the
you're right.
reels and the whatever not. It's you two.
Yeah.
It's the fact that you actually are matchmakers.
Yeah.
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 But also, it's the same as what we're doing here. It's
Yes.
great
Yes.
stories as well.
Yeah.
And I've listened I love listening to your podcast. And actually, the first
thank
one you
you.
did together, it was so lovely sort of hearing a little bit more about yourselves and the dynamics between you. And, you know,
But I think the Truffles Ruffles event I came to, it was just interesting hearing the stories that was there around
Yeah.
the table. I think I was sat next to an artist who was doing this
Yes.
amazing digital art. And then there was, is it Greenfinger, who
Yes.
did the
Yes,
that's
sustainable,
right. Yeah.
prep,
Well,
which
yeah.
was just
Yeah.
incredible.
yeah, well, she was the
Yeah.
furniture maker who Listen
were they
Tree,
connected?
they've
Yeah.
connected. And,
It was that.
and it's
And
a
I
really
learned
love.
facts about London Tree deadfall. And
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
like, oh, wow.
It's Goldfinger,
who would have,
actually,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah,
Gold-
yeah,
Goldfinger,
Goldfinger.
that's right.
And and that's really special. And you know, we feel very lucky that it's grown and
it's not just ladies at lunch, okay?
Yeah.
So we can just, because those networking opportunities, which we use networking lightly because we don't particularly like how the name sounds, but it is exactly that. But it's done in a really intimate environment because there's only 12 of us.
Yes.
And it's at our home. So you're not in at a
Can we
venue.
talk more about
Yeah.
where do the lunches happen?
Yeah.
Talk about your wonderful house in Dulwich as well. I know we're in Fulham and you feel like you're not on safe zone, but
I'm in my safe zone. I'm being Fulhamite if I need to be, right?
Your second home is Fulham.
exactly. I'm or not,
More
you've got a
here.
friend
In fact,
now.
I might just pop into your garden and tap it soon. So, why don't you lead the way?
So we do it to date, we've always done it in our home because we wanted it to be a lovely, safe space. And that in itself is always quite daunting to open up your home to people we don't know, because we've only met most of the people we meet over IG. So often all the guests we have not met before. So we do it at home because we want to keep it intimate and the numbers small. But then we are Truffles and Ruffles on tour now this summer for the first time. So we are packing our bags and going.
Let's talk more about that.
So we are going, and actually today we went down to Chelsea Town Hall because there was a sample sale of a few lovely fabric designers.
It's called Fulham something, isn't it?
So it's down
Yeah,
at the Chelsea Town Hall, and lovely, and lots of sort of lovely, very loyal supporters, guests of our lunches. And actually, while we were there, we were talking to Fenella from Interior Design, and she hasn't made it to our lunch because she lives in Yorkshire. But then she said, "Oh, you must get Anna Cox because she's in the Cotswolds because we're going to the Cotswolds." And we were like,
so it's in the
"Brilliant!"
Cotswolds.
But
So
the
how-
magic happens in a minute because Fenella, then Anna goes, you should come and stay with me and come together. So Fenella's going to be pulled over possibly
From Yorkshire to
That's
come.
amazing.
Yeah.
But we realised if we don't go out there and go and sort of
Yeah.
support, you know, we both did buy some fabric, which we possibly neither of us need. Let's
Let's support a friend.
but we went,
Wasn't
you know,
hard.
to go and
Yeah.
see Caroline from Inchira, Tanya from Cloth and Clover.
No,
So-
wait. Let's go back to how did you manage to have your lovely event coming up in the Cotswolds?
Because we said we're on tour now, so we said to
On
Fenella,
tour, I love
Truffles
that.
and Ruffles, and we said we must move north. So, but we're starting first in Charlbury in the Cotswolds. And she said, "Oh, Anna Cox over there is from the Cotswolds. Have you met her?" And we said no. So, and that's a nice thing about getting out and going to these lovely events, be it whether we needed fabric or not, is we went and so we met Anna and it was really lovely because she sort of said, "Well, I live literally 2 minutes from Charlbury," and we said it's on the 19th of June.
So today, can somebody else join from
Yes.
Fulham, from everywhere?
Let's be honest, there are a tiny amount of seats available, but it's whoever gets back to us, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
first come,
it's
first.
Yeah, it has
it's
to
out
be.
there, and but to be
This
on.
podcast will come out a week before the event.
So we're cooking with gas.
But then we've got another one that we haven't yet marketed at all, which
Yeah.
is at Listen Tree Antiques, which is in
Wonderful.
Berkshire.
Yeah.
And
So you are going out.
Totally.
Out.
Not long before we get on a plane, but let's do this bit first.
Cotswolds.
Did you know
Yeah,
by the way.
Berkshire.
Yes.
And we're doing a studio in Chelsea, actually. Lovely Julia from Collins and Green. We actually have done one earlier in May with her.
I've seen the videos from there.
Oh.
What an event.
It was
That she
lovely.
asked you to go back again.
I think we both loved it,
Yes.
and actually it was brilliant because it was just down the road. So if I had forgotten something, I could whiz back. But I realised actually because very sadly Annie was unexpectedly not there. She was a guest that dropped out on the day.
Oh, how dare
Quite
you?
a good reason. Quite a good reason.
Well, you've held the horses. That's what teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant. And actually we realised that now I know exactly what we need to take to make sure because that's the worst thing. Doing it at home, we can go, oh, whoops, we haven't got a candle or we haven't got whatever. But actually it worked. And so we are very excited. So
taking it out of London means we're hitting another bracket of gorgeous people and of creatives. Again, not just creatives, but we are, it's the networking. But again, it's not just specific to the Cotswolds. If someone from London wants to come to the Cotswolds, then that's fine. So it's all interchangeable. And, we're having that excitement. People say, oh, you must come here. We've had someone said possibly to Wales as well.
Yeah.
I've heard a little
Edinburgh.
birdie told me
Scotland.
that the Cotswolds one is more than just a lunch.
That's a very good bird.
Is it? Should I? Yeah. Well, it does. The podcast, guys, does come the week before it, so you're probably going to be sold out, and we are sadly not going to see everything that happens there. But guys, there's always the next time.
I was going to
But
say
do tell
waiting
us.
list, right?
Yeah. Waiting list. We get it. I'm loving it already. Here we are,
I'm on
guys.
it.
Make it
I'm
happen.
on
We need
it.
a waiting list. Yeah. So
Take
what's happening?
We've got a wonderful girl called Claire Brannigan who is coming to do some well-being to sort of I'm very excited because I don't take enough time.
And is your birthday coming after that?
My birthday comes the next day. I don't take enough time to sort of breathe and
Take some time out.
Everything we do is it.
Wonderful. Yeah.
And so Claire is going to come and tell us a little bit more about what she does, and I believe a lot of it's sound and gongs.
I think it's an amazing thing to be looked at from the brand's perspective out there. The fact that mental health, I keep talking about it, obviously because I'm a living, walking it. But it's amazing when you see that events like you guys and what you're trying to build there and build this beautiful community, you think about your guests. You think about their mental health and what being an artist or an entrepreneur or whatever or not they are, and give them that 30 minutes for themselves. Yeah. So, I'm 100% sure this event is going to be sold out.
And I think, as you just said, well-being is as important as connecting and communicating and meeting lovely people. And to have, my life, our lives can be just so 365 days. It feels like the minutes in the day are going too quick and the seconds are going too slow, or either or. It's all going a bit backwards and upside down. So to have someone that just can ground you after hopefully a very lovely lunch, which is going to be cooked by a fantastic chef, so we're really lucky to have that. But you can then go away feeling, gosh, I've had more than just the experience of networking, more than just a lunch, but actually have the sense of well-being and a great sort of start to putting one foot forward in the right way and going backwards sometimes.
That's brilliant. And I, as I'm 100% positive, it will be sold out. When is the season finale? So when do you guys take a break? Do you take a break? I hope you do, talking about mental health and everything. So when do we finish
the last
this?
one of the sum of this size of school, dare I say, school holidays, because I think so many people, all of us are juggling children, holidays, etc. So the 27th of June is our last one in Berkshire at the Lytton Tree. And then we carry on doing everything else behind the scenes and our interiors, etc. And then we kickstart again in September. Yeah. I think it's realistic. We talked about doing something early July, but actually it becomes trickier.
But everyone's so frantic.
Yeah, it just becomes trickier.
You're sort of, it gets a bit relentless, isn't it? Everyone's making a mad dash exactly to the end of school and trying to get away, and also people who maybe live over here visit family overseas. I think it's sensible to...
So we are driven, and Annie made comment, we'll always use school holidays.
School. I'll always have children that go to school. Or does it have to
That's not going to be forever.
Well, we were making the point that we always need a break. So I might have another another one, but no, it's and also it just gives me and Anna a chance to regroup and
have some breathing spaces. That's what creatives need that too.
Yeah.
That's when the amazing. You have the space mentally, and the amazing creative ideas actually pop.
So I'm really looking forward to half term next week, actually, for exactly that reason.
Yeah.
The craziness of exams.
Yes.
For
both of us.
Yeah, you've got GCSEs and A-levels. Because you're at the other side, Melinda, aren't you?
I've got one child who's handing in a dissertation this week, so
goodness.
I can't wait until that is done.
Yeah.
I'm not a helicopter parent at all by any means, but it's just there.
But you feel you live through it with them.
You do.
I mean, I'm definitely. I mean, I agree. I don't think Annie and I are either helicopter parents, but having them around, and you're like, do you think? I mean, I said to my daughter the day before, so have you learnt it? She said, a third. And I was like, a third? Okay, well, I think you need to get on and learn it.
I was talking to a lady a couple of days ago about it, because obviously my children are little.
Yeah.
And she was saying, I genuinely feel stressed. And I said, how unnecessary. I said, these GCSEs are so unnecessary to put so much stress for somebody that might not even, ever have to work with that subject ever. And it's a stress on the entire family at the end of the day. So hopefully the system will change in a couple of years' time. So I don't need to come and cry about it.
But I think you do. I think there's so much pressure on children today. I think they're all expected to be good at everything. And I think
Which is not possible.
Not the case.
I mean, we at school, everyone knew I wasn't a scientist and I was more creative.
Yes.
I happened to be quite mathsy.
But also creative people, I still do feel that the system is very stacked against them.
Yes, I agree.
But I do think where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
And creatives always find their way. But I do think it's just...
It's not easy on them. But we are taking over. Honestly, I think everybody I'm talking to my age become a consultant, or they're trying to find their way out. I've got somebody that was, in marketing, digital marketing, corporate for so long, and she just came out and now she's doing pottery and jewellery.
Well, in fact, I'm going to bring it back because when we, at our lunches, as we sit down, we ask each guest to do a little introduction, and this gives everyone an opportunity to hear who they are and what their business is. And invariably, there are quite a lot of people there who had started off as possibly a solicitor or in banking or whatever, and have then changed career into something more creative. That's not the case of everyone, but it does happen.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating. But it's also a chance for everyone to go, all set the table, go eyeline, beeline for that person after the lunch because they want to connect with that person.
Yeah,
but it's
you're right, and I think it's just this misconception, right? Oh, if you're a painter, you're not going to make a living. If you're a writer, you're going to be poor. If you are this and that, so it's just what we've been told. Whereas, no, so many writers out there are super, well off and. Painters and photographers and whatever. Nowadays, it's not what it used to be.
Well, I think we were told it wasn't a proper job.
It's not,
yes.
And doing a creative subject is a soft subject.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, really, have you tried doing an A-level in art nowadays?
Yes, exactly.
I mean, the amount of work that you have to do.
Yeah, the more stress over textiles than there was over, Latin for my daughter, because it's, it's
Latin, that's a dead language.
As dead as dead can be.
Exactly. So,
so dead, I actually refused to do it.
well done.
I think I was the only one. No way am I doing this.
love that.
Oh, it's so funny that my brain just came with a line in Latin.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say about all of this, now finally we know what you girls are made of, and we're definitely not ladies who lunch. We are definitely somebody that works hard to make it all happen, and is mathematics there, trying to curate everything and make sure
massive jigsaw puzzle.
Well, I bet.
Yeah,
and
massive.
To make it work if somebody drops out and that's all wonderful. Should we talk about Fulham brands? Who are we collaborating from Fulham?
Oh, the lovely Bridge Bakers who made a delicious cake for us for our last lunch, and I think are very kindly doing something for us for tomorrow, which is really gorgeous of them. Then we have the lovely...
I love when brands come together. This is what we're doing, Melinda.
Malik, fabulous. I mean, gorgeous photographer. But not only photographer, she also has a really beautiful crockery and Tunisian brands. I mean, her brand, she's from Tunisia, but lovely pieces that she's bringing over from Tunisia. But she's just got such a lovely energy about her. There's something very calm, and I, really enjoyed working with her. And it is lovely when people are local. It makes and that's the nice thing. Having only moved relatively recently to Fulham, is that real community.
Well, the question will come now. So why Dulwich and why Fulham? Do you want to start, Annie? Why Dulwich?
Why Dulwich? That is where my home is, and it is, it's two different parts of London, and my nephew calls it Leafy Dulwich. It's green, and you're just a little bit further out, and it's more in a villagey part of London.
It's another really lovely urban.
It's
village.
another spot, and it just so happens that that's where we both are. And
but you came to Dulwich straight from South Africa. You came back to Dulwich.
So yes, because my husband was working in Johannesburg, and his son actually was going to school in that area.
Okay, so that's
what took me to Dulwich.
It's very important because now you call Dulwich home, and that's where one of the beautiful lunches once a month happens.
Yes.
So that means it's your comfort zone and is your your realm, your place.
Yes.
What about you, Anna?
Yes, Anna, a relative newcomer to
Fulham. Well, when I first moved to London, I slept on my sister's sofa or floor in Fulham, and at the time I thought the Wimbledon line was this line that you got to Earl's Court and you waited for ages for the Wimbledon line. It was sort of right in the sticks. I mean, that was my first impression of Fulham. She was right down. She was on Waldemar Avenue, just the penultimate one before Fulham Palace Road. I probably outstayed my welcome there. So that was my first foray in. And then actually I stayed in Fulham for a little bit before I bought my first flat. And then when I got married, actually we lived in Battersea, which I absolutely loved. But we were in a flat, and rightly so, coming out of lockdown, my husband sort of felt it was time. Well, the flat was getting smaller as the children were getting bigger. And we just fell in love with a beautiful house on a beautiful street in Fulham. And we really haven't looked back. And it was a lovely timing because it was just before the Queen's Jubilee. And,
so you got the
street parties, exactly, and then
we know how to street party.
And suddenly, there's a sort of real community, and that I'd never really experienced in London. And I think I'd always thought London. What I initially thought I loved about London is the fact that you had your anonymity. You could be sort of behind closed doors, and no one knew where you were, and come out when you wanted. But the community is really important. We very much came to Fulham like that, and I think
I'm going to interject because there was a time, and I was so relieved that it was Fulham, that you might have gone out to the country.
Yes,
which is on your radar. And so when Anna said Fulham, I was like, yes.
Well, we did.
That girl isn't going too far away. I was going to go, yeah, sure, you want to go to the country.
Do you know what's funny?
Come back.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny? It's funny that all the guests we've had today, somehow something brought them out of Fulham, and somehow life brought them back to Fulham. It's got this community spirit to it, and it's got this, somehow you come to Fulham and you bloom. And maybe you have the same thing in Dulwich, but you have not gotten to the bottom of it, or maybe you have.
I mean, I very similarly, we have the most fantastic group WhatsApp and the community spirit. I mean, my neighbour opposite borrows wine or butter at any time of night or day.
It's like Melinda
my
said,
son
village.
babysits the boys next door. I help the lady who's quite elderly.
I've had plenty of
right.
jam jars from your WhatsApp group.
Jam jars.
I
mean, you name it, and it is. And you're right, because I think if you're further in London, I think you don't have that.
The community.
Anonymity. But here, and I think what you can say about Fulham that you haven't said yet, it's obviously got a boomerang effect, right?
Having said earlier that I didn't think it was well connected, it is really well connected.
It's
Fulham
very well
Broadway is fantastic. For my children, London is small from Fulham. They can get on a tube and they can get anywhere, be it Mile End or... literally. So I think for them, London feels very small living in Fulham. And I think that's, which I'd never appreciated, having been in Battersea before. I was like, oh, it's so nice. We have a tube, you walk, you do. But for the children, that community...
They can really enjoy London life.
They really can. And, I'm never quite sure why they need to go to Covent Garden for the cinema, why they can't go to Fulham Broadway, but that is children, isn't it?
Well, guys, we have spoken about how we are not ladies for lunch, how we've got a lot of exciting things coming, And then the 27th of June, if I remember correctly, is the last one of the season. So Fulham guys, if you want to go and join these beautiful ladies, you want to just have a day out, please follow them on Instagram and see their website and everything they're up to. And guys, there is something we're always doing, and you are no exception.
I heard about this. I'm going to be a bit nervous.
I've
Well,
listened to
Melinda
it.
is going to start with this one because it would be only rude if I would.
Oh my God.
I always start with not the disaster ones, but I think it always sort of seems to bring up a funny story.
Yeah.
Like, have you done a lunch where, you say a guest drops out last minute, but have you done something where you've literally gone, oops, that's the main course kind of I mean, I know you're working with a chef now, but before you guys were doing everything.
Oh yeah, we should
We had
talk
a
about the
lunch
fact
where
that
we
you were cooking.
we had to rotate our seat because we'd had an error. We had one more guest than we were expecting.
An extra guest turned up.
So then we said, we're just testing to see whether it works. I'll do the starter.
It worked all right, didn't it?
And he did the main, and then I came back for pudding.
Yes.
So do you think anyone twigs? Or?
No.
Well done.
But we didn't. But then we agreed.
Never happened again. But gosh, if it does, then you know our secret.
Right, and my on-the-spot question now for you girls is, has it ever happened that you had two guests sat one next to another or at the table that couldn't stand each other, that had exes, that had been
We shouldn't be saying
anything?
anything.
No.
Well, you never need to, you
don't
need
have to
to
mention
No,
it.
we won't mention
Yeah.
it. But it was, and we, because they got in touch with us, and we were like.
But how did that happen? Where did they see that they, or what
So
do you do?
on the handles, so we had put all the guests, the 10 guests who were coming on a story.
yeah.
And
The morning of the event.
morning of the event, probably an hour,
Couple of hours.
maybe a couple of hours before. And suddenly
I tried
this
to
lovely
come
guest who we were so excited was coming because she doesn't live in London. And we were like, finally, it's really exciting. And she said, I can't come.
Oh my God.
I can't come. And I remember Annie and I literally, we felt the sort of blood draining from her. I'm just going, okay.
And we were like, she's got to come. She's got to come.
Yeah. Did you say what?
That's
Did you
not
say
an
what?
option.
I know. You don't
So we then rang her and said, okay, come earlier. I have a gin ready
Gin and
for you.
tonic
A gin
ready.
ready for you. Put
Well,
your
that's
big,
so nice.
put your big girl
Did you
pants
come,
on.
guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put your big girl
Yeah.
pants on, and
got
we'll,
you. We've got you.
We've
Yeah,
got
we did,
you.
we
We'll
did.
protect you. We'll make sure the table. I will. I'll look after one. We just.
Yeah.
We've got you. We're going to catch you.
But I'm sorry, it was hilarious.
No, this is not.
my
This-
God.
But when the other party of the person that didn't get on with, guess what? Was it the first, second, third, fourth, fifth guest? It was the second guest.
So then we had the.
So you had the you couldn't write the script.
No.
So you really, I was like,
Crazy.
So, but we literally, I think I shielded and Annie shielded, and we just and
they shook hands and
Yeah.
they said hello.
Guys,
You know?
this is amazing. So you had that person's back.
yeah.
Very well done.
100%.
How did the lunch go? Were tables thrown and placed?
Shall we recommend you to the UN?
That's a good one.
No, but it was that was
And it was all fine in the end.
It was
but, you know.
absolutely fine, but for us it was important.
Did the person at the end had to get somewhere? Was it one of those? I'm sorry. I would love to stick around.
I would say, actually, we weren't necessarily peacemakers, but that wasn't the case. And both parties did stay and chat and, And
I don't think anyone else knew.
No,
And we would
They
never
just
have.
got over
Yeah.
that hurdle.
Yeah.
But things like this happen, and as
And I'm
you
so
have.
glad they said something to us
Yeah.
because it does make it much easier.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than feeling uncomfortable. Because we want people to feel comfortable.
Because she could have just said, look, I'm feeling awful. And
I'm feeling ill and I
not
can't come. And
Yeah.
she
So
didn't.
The
really good,
creative
she told
world
us.
is very small, and all people that you attract, they've heard of each other, might have known each other from other projects. So it's amazing to know that. Yeah.
But also your followers are not indicative of you being tougher. It doesn't make you indestructible. Just because you've got 1,000 followers, you're still a person behind that number.
100%.
And I
And me and
think
Melinda were talking about it today that, it's one of those things that you're scared of what should you show.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you become the brand, do you show anything personal? Will people get bored of only your work? But I think if you stick to it and you're honest and you're just being honest with yourself and who you are and what you want people to know,
then it works.
Then it works.
And I think also what is important to say is nobody is too small to come to us. You don't need to have a gazillion followers or over 500 or just maybe more than one or two.
Because not Annie and Anna.
Because we are a platform for people from really established business to people that are just starting off. And so these links are made... It's like a semi-permeable membrane. I'm doing biology now.
Oh, look at you!
And, but it just, and that's the beauty of it, because genuinely people want to meet everyone at different parts of their life, different parts of their business, and it's exciting for both ends of the scale or midway to meet. And sometimes you can be a bit like, oh, someone's got a gazillion followers. As you just said, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are storming Norman. It can mean that they've been fortunate, they've got those followers, but they still really need business, right? So, and you have the younger businesses who might have less, but have all this engagement and it's flying.
We are so excited, aren't we? We are super excited about being here together. But unfortunately, like all good things,
got it.
So I think we should wrap it up. I think it's been wonderful chatting to you.
Thank
if you were to end this wonderful chat that we had with a line or two, obviously for two of you, of what Truffles and Ruffles is all about and inviting people of Fulham over, what would you say?
Connecting creative minds.
I'd say it's cultivating connections. There we go.
That's great.
Thank you
you
very
so
much for
much.
having us.
Thank you so much for coming.
Right, guys, and next time we're going to have a Fulham resident and a New York Times best-selling author. Please tune in. It's a very, very interesting episode. One not to miss, like always. See you guys soon.